All right, here we go again. It's going to be fun. This is an interesting one. We got quite a few things going on tonight, and so I want to kind of preview you guys what's happening. Next 15 seconds, we got Catholic priests. The Catholic Church has an AI priest, which was gotten rid of. Then you got Vegas. UFO has actually been downgraded, well, upgraded, I guess, to a demon. Here, wait.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. T-minus 3. We are go with all elements of the mission at this time.
Oh, right. I got it that time. And let me tell you a little bit more about that Vegas demon UFO thing. Originally, a long time ago, we had a weird thing happen, and the guy saw lights, and then something happened in the background. And now he's sure it's a demon because of some physical evidence that happened. We're going to go further into that. Ariana Grande has claimed to be a witch. She's sure of it. Also, the Pope has a plan for AI as he, for the first time, joins the G7. I'm not sure if I got that right, but we got several presentations for you tonight. Very, very interesting. And as we continue, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because you're going to want to follow and find out more about what's happening in the next few days. We got lots of people coming out there. Make sure you're watching for it.
We just passed the 2-minute mark in the countdown. T-minus 1 minute, 54 seconds, and counting. All indications coming in to the control center at this time indicate we are go. Guidance system goes on internal at 17 seconds, leading up to the ignition sequence at 8.9 seconds. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. We passed T-minus 60.
Mysteries to the universe we were never meant to solve. But who we are and why we are here are not among them.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
My name is Brad. Looks like my microphone is too low. What is going on tonight? There's always something that's happening here. So let me check on something real quick. We're going to bump up this volume. Bump up the volume. Bump up the volume. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Is that getting better at all? This is not normal, as usual. There's always something going on here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it getting better? Let me see if I can see anything in here. Is anybody can anybody hear me, and see if it sounds better to you? Well, actually, let me just bring in our guest tonight, co-host Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing good, Brad. Yeah, you sound a little bit more quiet. When you were messing with the knob, it was
Getting better?
it was boosted. Yeah, it was getting a bit better.
What is going on? I didn't change any settings. Let me switch it to a different mic real quick.
No problem. Oh, that's much worse. Oh, we don't like that. No.
Okay.
Put it back. There we go.
No? Okay. Man, we had sound check. I don't know what happened.
You sounded good before you rolled the intro. Don't know. If that messed with your levels or something? Something strange.
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly. Something strange is going on here. We might just have to roll with it. I don't know. But anyway, how are you doing tonight? We got quite a show lined up. And if I can't get above this, man, what is going on? We're just going to edit this part out. I'm going to turn off all filters here. It's like someone comes in and fools with this thing while I'm out. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're going to have to cut this part out. Turn that off. Okay. Testing. I hate doing this live.
It's a good thing that our audience has the patience of the saints. That's something to be grateful for in this moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I mean, I can't get it to change on the mixer, so I'm going to go to the actual device and see if it changed here to my settings, and I'm going to boost it here. Looks like I can bump myself up a little bit there. I'm going to go to settings, and we're going to boost it up here. Tell me if that gets any better. Is it getting better or worse? Anything?
No, it's staying about the same right now.
What? I have a better mind just to restart this whole thing. Reset. It says that it's getting better. Matthew?
Yeah?
I wish I wasn't doing the beginning of the show tonight because I don't know what is happening yet. Let me try this. What about this? Is this getting better? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yes. It's getting better and better.
Okay.
Louder and louder.
All right. There we go. Let's just go with this tonight. For some reason, we're 20 decibels lower than I should be, and I appreciate everyone hanging in there. We're whenever we do something new, there's always complications that happen, and we'll just roll with it. We're gonna roll with it tonight, and we're gonna see exactly what's happening.
Take 2 and action.
Welcome to Strange Normal. My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things, and tonight is no different. We're going to be talking about something that is absolutely bizarre, and a number of things, actually. We got 2 presentations, so you're going to have a double whammy tonight because both me and Matthew had something to talk about, and it's going to be fantastic. So, I guess roll of the dice. We at the beginning of the show we were like, well, who's going first? So I'm gonna present first. We got some very interesting stuff. Let's jump right into it, Matthew. We are going to roll with the main B-roll right now, which is this update to Vegas, the Vegas teen who reported a UFO a long time ago. So this was weird to me. Do you remember, Matthew, that kid, I think it was about a year ago now, he reported that there was a light in the sky, something fell into his backyard in Vegas, and then something appeared on the ground. Now, we know what this is from a spiritual standpoint. We know that nothing is coming out there, coming to us, and wants to coming from another planet and wants to tell us important things or anything like that. Nothing like that is going to happen. But this guy's claiming that he's seeing something growling at him, something mean, something vicious. But more than that, well, I should just roll the clip and let you see what's going on. You ready for this? This is crazy.
Yeah, I am ready.
All right, on the news. Here we go.
So ready.
Alex, good to see you. I have to ask you, what are you making? Because there's something really interesting about this. And it's that last night it was reported there was more strange activity in and around the home. What is going on here?
Right. The story goes that just about a year ago, the Kenmore family saw these mysterious, unidentifiable creatures in their backyard right here behind me, right? They said that they were 10-foot-tall creatures, that they were standing there looking at them. They could see them breathing. Angel says that he was actually growling at him, freaking them out so much that they actually called 911. Well, it turns out that these unidentified, unexplainable phenomenon didn't just stop at that night. Angel went into great detail with me during our one-on-one conversation about other paranormal activity that's been happening, but this time inside of their house. It goes beyond just seeing shadows and hearing whispers. These are really freaky things that he told me during our exclusive conversation. Take a listen. You mentioned paranormal activity. What exactly did you see?
Well, I was in another room. My brother called me, and there was a upside-down cross, and there was a Jesus statue on it. They ripped Jesus out of it. They threw him like across the room, and it was floating upside down.
Okay, did you hear what he said? Now, he originally said that this was a UFO. Something came down, some light outside, and something appeared outside, and it scared everybody. Now he said, you know what? There's actually more to the story. There's when after this whole thing happened, crazy stuff started happening in the house. And they had a cross with a crucifix. And they had ripped Jesus off, turned it upside down, and it was floating in midair.
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, like in the air. It was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go pick it up? Did you knock it down? Like how?
No, I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there. I was crazy. I was like, what?
But how did it come down? It's not still floating right now, is it?
No, it came down. So we got closer to it and then it dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix
Yeah.
floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off.
Yeah.
And it was floating.
Yeah.
And you can say definitively, without lies, that that is what you saw.
Yes. Swear to God, that's what I saw.
Okay, and what about the Bible? What did you tell me about the Bible?
Oh yeah, the Bible. So I was chilling normal. There was just a Bible just going like this, flipping the pages. But it was like steady, like it wasn't because of the air. It was steady, like somebody was holding it. As soon as I got close to it, it dropped again. It just dropped
This is
again.
inside your house, not outdoors, no
No,
wind.
it's inside, yeah.
No wind factor, but the page is steadily turning on a Bible.
Yeah.
And you have the same justification for that as well, demonic
Yeah.
presence?
Yeah, I can see demonic presence, yeah.
The pages of the Bible were
Yeah.
moving on their own and an actual crucifix hanging upside down?
Yeah. So we had a couple priests come over to the house, pray over the house, and everything seems to be normal again.
Are you connecting all these things together, everything you saw in your backyard, to the things you've experienced over these past few months?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I think so. I still don't have an explanation of what it is, still pretty weird. And I have no clue what it is.
What did the priest say when they actually came to your house?
They're saying that it might be fallen angels, like demons or fallen angels, something like that.
Fallen angels inside your home.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
How does it make you feel about living here still?
Right now I feel good, There's a lot of time priests came over, but yeah, but whatever happened on last year May, that was pretty scary, man. I was pretty traumatized and stuff like that.
What does that look like to you? You said you're traumatized. I don't want to make you relive it.
Yeah.
What is that like?
Pretty bad, man. You can't sleep, Not to sound like a crybaby, but you cry most of the time when you think about it. You get flashbacks. Not a good experience.
With all of the paranormal activity happening inside your house, are you thinking about moving away?
Oh yeah, soon I'm gonna move away from this house. Yeah.
Everybody or just you?
Everybody, I think.
You guys are done with this place?
Yeah.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for free. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story.
And while we certainly have Angel's story to go off of, other people here in this neighborhood have also filled in some of the gaps and some of the things that they found freaky about that night that those two unidentified beings were seen by the Kenmore family in their backyard. For example, a guy who lives just right down the street just saw us out here on the side of the road and began talking to us, and he remembered that night as well. He said that for some bizarre reason, his TV all of a sudden stopped working at that time, that his surveillance cameras no longer were working, his lights were shutting off. So put all of this together, the Kenmore sighting, what the neighbors are reporting, not to mention what those Las Vegas police officers saw on those body-worn cameras, that flash of light streak across the sky 39 minutes before that 911 call. It really is an unexplainable phenomenon happening here in Las Vegas.
Wow. Okay, so classic demonic activity. And I wonder, I have to ask myself this, what caused this to happen? Because I think his analysis of this whole thing is correct. I mean, at first he was like, I saw this thing came down from, it was a comet or something. And then he said a big boom happened and shook and all this stuff outside. And then I saw a figure, I saw things. He described the classic stuff, the hitchhiker effect, where he saw stuff afterwards. He saw the floating things. He saw this thing that would terrorize, basically. He said his family's done with this place, and I think absolutely he has his hypothesis is correct, and that I think that he has found that this is demonic. What's fascinating to me is that he had a Catholic priest come in, and the priest said, "Yeah, this is probably fallen angels. This is something." And I think it's interesting that he came to that conclusion through talking to many people, and it's no longer aliens, it's no longer UFOs like everyone seems to believe, and it's the narrative. I'm still going to call this the narrative because I think it's fascinating that this is not a revelation to anybody. This is like, boom, there it is. It's fallen angels, and that's why that this whole beings from other planets coming to Earth to tell us about impending destruction, I think it's going to be played good cop, bad cop by these fallen angels. I think this is going to be a definite thing that is, hey, we are the good guys, but there's also bad guys, and they're causing your trouble right now. I don't know, but this is playing out unexpectedly expected. What do you think about this whole thing, Matthew?
As soon as he mentioned the crucifix, I knew he had to have a Catholic background. Crucifix was something that I owned and I had hanging on the wall above my door. It was one of the things that had to go when I realized that it was like an object of worship, essentially, and I wasn't giving my full devotion to God. I wasn't relying on Jesus. It's a sad thing that type of a phenomenon was happening to him, because in my experience, I had the weird stuff happening in my home, and certainly entertained the idea with my wife to have a priest come in and, maybe have dinner at our home and then kind of mention weird things have been happening, like we don't necessarily feel safe sleeping in our bedroom. We've had dreams that we both wake up from, and it's the same dream. We're having shared dreams, just a really very odd stuff. And we never ended up going through with that because I was doing a lot of research at the time and looking into Catholic doctrine and comparing it to what the Bible says, and it also looking at secret societies and just some of the ties that they have to the Catholic Church, specifically through the Jesuit order. And I just arrived at that conclusion that it wasn't what I wanted to pursue. And when I knew what I had to do, I did it. And I asked Jesus directly for his divine intervention, and he gave it to me 100%, didn't hold anything back. It's perfect. It's like when you read the Gospels and you see that Jesus heals somebody and makes them whole. It's not like it says, oh, he got up and he limped around for a couple of days because he had to get used to walking again. It's like, no, you're healed and you're walking. He stays with you, and the whole problem is solved with Jesus. He's not just gonna do a little patch up and then walk away. Even the guy whose sight was being restored, it was a process there, but Jesus didn't, have his sight restored and then walk away from him and say, okay, well, it's going to be a little bit patchy for a while. It's like, no, here I am. We're going to go through the process. You're going to have your sight restored to you. You can see perfectly. You can see clearly very well. Good. And that's what Jesus can do for you. Unfortunately, I think when you have a priest come into the home and that you're relying on them, your faith is in this priest's capabilities to do essentially the job that God only can do for you. You're asking and relying on this man, and maybe you think that this man's like an emissary and that he has the power endowed to him, that he can do this type of a thing, but it's not. At that point, I believe you're putting your faith more in the process. You're putting it more in this idea that a ritual can be performed in my home, and that's going to solve it. Not necessarily that God is going to come in and do this for you. So, and at that time, they can obviously, they're the ones who are making all the creepy stuff happens. If they see you being driven further into a false religious system, they're going to say, job well done, thumbs up. Not only did we terrify these people and get them onto national news outlet and have people exposed to the UAP stuff, they, on a personal level, are now more reliant on the Catholic system rather than going directly to God. So, all that being said, I think that they still have some, there's still some work to be done there with them. There's still some growing of the faith, and being able to recognize it as demonic, I think that's a good thing. To not want anything to do with it, certainly, to not embrace that aspect of it. It's just, like you said, the good cop, bad cop. Just because we can identify and say, oh, there's the bad cop, you don't necessarily then run to the good cop. Because what you're talking about, and I'm not disparaging law enforcement or anything, it's an analogy. And that analogy is when you're in an interrogation room, there is a guy who usually comes in, he puts on the face of an aggressive cop, he's saying, we know what you did, this is you know you were here, and we have all this evidence. And then the other cop, the good cop, comes in and says, hey, it's all right, man. I know he's loud, he's yelling at you. You want to talk to me about what happened that night? Come on, tell me what happened. But they're both working together towards the same goal. And that's the analogy we have here, is that the fallen angels, they will use these methods to move you towards the desired destination. You know, whether they have to get you with the carrot or the stick, right?
Right.
Whatever gets you there.
100%. And I want to jump off that and say that Roger Murnau, if you don't know who that is, I know Matthew, you do, but if you just joined this channel, if you just seen this for the first time, Roger Murnau is a former occultist that turned Christian. And he said, what he learned while he was in the occult, while he was worshiping these things that they actually knew was demonic entities. They knew that they were fallen angels. And he said what they found out was there are different personalities, 3 different primarily. And he said one was the ones who are more or less, it happened. And they're not necessarily too grumpy about it. But there are also the others that are trying to plan their way out of this. They want to get back into heaven. And the others that are very aggressive. I forget the exact words he used. I have to look them up. But the ones that are very aggressive are the ones that do the most chaos. And so even above them, he said, there are a council, a hierarchy. You know how in the Bible it talks about how the centurion came to Jesus and he said, you don't have to come to my house. I know I'm an authority over many, many soldiers. I know that you are an authority over many, many angels. And this is, Brad's version of the Bible, but paraphrasing. Yeah, but essentially, there are a hierarchy. It is a hierarchy system, and there is a hierarchy inside not only God's kingdom, but somewhat in Satan's stand against God right now. And we can see that because I did an interview this week with a guy named Chad Riley, and he talked about the Council of Nine, which I had not heard of before. And the Council of Nine is apparently very apparent in entertainment media. And if you haven't, and I know at least half the audience has no idea that I did this, the interview. It was a fascinating interview. It's only available on Patreon, patreon.com/strangenormal. And for any amount, you can get access to this. But what I want to show a clip from that, because it was a very interesting clip about the Council of Nine. Check it out.
The next one that I'm planning on doing is going to be on the 9. I'm going to get into all the 9 as far as like Psalms 82, the lowercase gods that it's spoken of in there, that when he says, you shall die like men, and casting this judgment over the lowercase gods, the 72 gods of the nation. I'm going to get into all that because there's 9 gods that rule over all the other lowercase g gods. And you see these 9 repeated over and over and over throughout every pantheon, every civilization. There's the 9 that rule over Mount Olympus, the 9 that rule over Egypt, the 9 that rule over Mesopotamia, the 9 that rule over India, and so on. And it just goes on and on. Well, then you start getting into what Aleister Crowley talked about. He said, I worship my master Lucifer and his Augustus Council of 9. Well, then you also have Purerich, who was part of Edgewood Arsenal and all this other stuff, and mixed up with Uri Geller and the remote viewers. But he got into a whole different part of it because he was working with different people, and they were channeling these entities called the Council of 9. And when you get into that, one of the biggest proponents, or one of the biggest people that was a member of that, as well as the roundtable on Lab 9, was Gene Roddenberry. And where do you think he got a lot of the ideas of Star Trek? Yeah, that came from the Council of Nine. In fact, when you look at a lot of stuff in Star Trek, you see it over and over. The NCC 1701, 1 plus 7 plus 0 plus 1 equals 9. 9 crew members on the bridge at all times. Then you have Deep Space Nine. You have the 9 Bajoran guys that were inside the wormhole, and so on. And like I said, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's just like, you cannot make this stuff up.
Do you believe in that? Like,
okay, so we're going to pause it right there just for a second, and we'll go further into something else. But if you haven't seen these clips, I've been producing small clips about this. I'm going to start doing a lot more interviews on this channel, talking about the different aspects of the things that aren't talked about primarily much, and they should be talked about a little bit more. We're advised, actually, to talk about this stuff, at least through my church's council. And if you want to know where that is, you can email me. I won't go into too far into that right now, but I think it's fascinating that there is somewhat, because I'm going to say somewhat of a hierarchy even in the demonic realm, because Satan isn't all together as Christ's kingdom is all together. He talks about that. My kingdom, he says, the kingdom is divided in Satan's kingdom, but his kingdom stands as one. And so it's fascinating to see even this come out in media. And I think as we develop this on the channel and look into this a little bit further, we can tell what in the world is going on here before the end of time happens. And that's the whole Strange Normal Research Group. That's what we're not primarily researching, but that's one of the aspects that we look into a little bit further. And I want to advise everybody that's watching, go to the channel and click on the pre-made video section. It's just called videos, the video tab, and you can see 3 more clips from Chad Riley. And I know that at least half of you haven't seen those clips because it says that in the analytics. It says that we get about 2,000 or 3,000 people that watch these lives, and only about 1.5 that have seen those specific videos. You got to see those. They're on different topics, and they're really interesting. Anyway, did you have any comments on that, Matthew? I'm dialoguing here and monologuing the whole thing, so I don't want to take away from your thoughts. What do you think?
The idea that Satan's kingdom is divided, I think, is very valid because he wants it that way. I think he believes, well, he's purported this philosophy through the theory of evolution, really. Darwin said it's all about survival of the fittest, and that only the strong will survive. Only those who are really capable can survive. So Satan says, here we're going to function off of a meritocracy. If you want to advance and be in my good graces, well, you got to show me. You got to flex some muscle. You got to go out there and do and be willing to do the things that further my agenda and further my plan. And even another aspect of the theory of evolution that I think is satanic is evolution itself, that you can go from a lower state, a lower being, and through that struggle, through your, you call it a rebellion, you're rebelling against nature, you're rebelling against the system that's there because you're not going to accept that you're going to die, you're going to struggle and survive as a fitter being, you will then evolve into a greater being. And I don't think that we're done seeing evolution. I think there's going to be this idea of a spiritual evolution, which is already present in the New Age, but I believe that when Satan's on the scene, it'll definitely be something that he's going to talk about. As for the Council of Nine, I think that's a very interesting idea, because I do know just from comparing ancient religions, I'm a fan of history. I've always enjoyed history. I don't understand. Some people think history is dry. I don't see how you can think history is dry. If people can sit down and they watch a series like Game of Thrones and they get so into it and they know, oh, this is a king so-and-so and his great-grandfather, and oh, he had the dragon, blah, 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 and blah, blah. It's like, you do know we have a real history you can study, and it's really fascinating. This guy who wrote this series, he, I'm sure he is a student of history as well. But just knowing the hierarchies of the gods, yes, there's always been pantheons, and they are reflective of each other. Even, I mean, it's widely known that the Greek gods became the Roman gods, and they just changed the names. They Romanized the names, where, you know, it was Mars is like the Romanized version of it, but Ares would be the Greek version of it. So Ares and Mars, same deity. You can go through. Aphrodite became Venus, and Zeus became Jupiter. It's all there, and it's spelled out. And if you wanted to, you could go through and look at that. But that idea that all of those gods are actually the same beings, there have been ancient cults around for a long, long time, and I think that's probably one of their inner doctrines that they keep and they share with their members when you become initiated is, listen, you've heard about this culture and that culture, and I'm talking about people in the ancient world, people like in Roman times. There's cults that we can look at and study. Cult of Mithras, for example, very prominent in Rome. But I'm sure that one of their the teachings was, you know about the Egyptian gods, you know about the Mesopotamian gods of old, you know all these different gods. Well, they're all the same beings. We all worship the same beings, and this is why it's acceptable, even for Rome, when they conquered different people. It's like, yeah, you know, you have to just give your tribute to Rome. But I think they recognize going in there, the gods that these Germanic tribes are worshiping are awfully similar to our own gods. They're awfully similar to the Egyptian gods. And, you know, you just put two and two together, it makes sense that it is just one group that is prevailing and representing themselves in different forms, whatever best suits the culture that they're trying to appeal to.
That's exactly it. Yeah, whatever best suits the culture, and that we see that in the whole UFO idea too, because whatever it is that is present in media, whatever it is that people want to see, they see, and that's been actually talked about quite a bit in the secular idea of ufology. Whereas whatever it is that each person's experience seems to be a little bit different, and they're not sure why. Well, we understand why, because that's the Christianity. Bringing it full circle to that first clip, talking about UFOs. But I think it's very interesting, because people gravitate towards different aspects of this thing, and they, just like you said, we have our own history. But before I get into that, I want to ask everyone, go ahead and hit that like button. There is a correlation between how many concurrent viewers we have and how many likes we get. So I want to ask that you like, share, subscribe, hit that button. Make sure you comment on it if you are a watching later, or if you're watching in the show right now, leave us a comment on the live chat too. We want to hear from you. So right now, look at that. See, I said that and it went from 92 to 109 and 114. As soon as I said like button, there's some correlation between hitting that like button and the amount of people that are fed into the system. Isn't that fascinating? Anyway, let's get off topic there for a second. We're going to jump into this. Like you said, Matthew, people get sidetracked into all this stuff, all this history. And I mean, even I'm thinking, you mentioned that we have our own history, but I was thinking about all this baseball history or the basketball history. I mean, people during my age, you traded basketball cards, and everybody knew the stats of everybody, and you could rattle one off, and because you knew it in your head, people knew that stuff better than they knew their Bible. And so I think we get sidetracked with this stuff. Not only that, speaking of cards, there's someone that has been throwing around quite a few tarot cards lately. And she's telling people that she's absolutely a witch. Have you heard this? This is amazing to me. This just came out just a couple weeks ago, and it's hot off the press. Nobody has touched this as far as I understand yet, at least in my circles. I want to show you this. This is Ariana Grande doubling down on her witch status. Watch this.
Do you believe in that? Like, is there something to when you're making music, just letting go to the universe and or wherever your brain will go and just seeing what happens? Because we have like artists come on the show, and like there's a few different schools of thought, but like one artist may say like I write 100 songs and that's how I become a good songwriter, and then Chris Martin comes on a bunch of times and preaches about how the universe gave him Viva La Vida, and he just like opens himself up and it just beams from the fucking sky.
I love that.
But is there an in-between anywhere where like craft
Absolutely.
meets the universe?
Yeah. I'm somewhere in between. I've learned. I don't know. I sit somewhere between being a literal witch, I'm not kidding, and being like the most realistic, cut, dry, like, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I feel like I'm my most productive when I am open, and also when I pretend no one's ever going to hear it.
Can you do a tarot card reading for me?
Oh my God, I wish I brought them.
Yeah, what is that? What are you just walking around set looking to do readings
Every
for people?
day. No, they come to me.
Oh, interesting.
They come to me.
You are a witch?
I am indeed. The witchiest witch.
What in the world? And so we joke around about this, or at least maybe they think they are joking around about this, but what really fascinates me is that when someone doubles down on it, maybe she tripled down on it. I don't know what you want to call it, but she said it quite a few times. And she's saying, hey, look, I pretend to do these things. I do this all the time. I show people how to read their tarot. I want to call it tarot because that's how it's spelled. But I'm not going to get off on that. But anyway, okay, maybe I will. My wife and I have she's not American, so ESL. She says whenever she says bye, just as a joke, she said bia, because that's how it's spelled. Why do you say bye when it's bie? Bie. Anyway, so we a lot of things that are said we say differently just because it was funny. That's beside the point. But what's really interesting here is that this isn't the only actor that has said she became a witch. And I'm going to open it up and have you comment on it. But I want to play this other clip real quick because this is one we've seen quite a bit. But Tom Brady also has a wife that has made him quite popular and successful. Watch this.
Any superstitions going into the game? Any special thing you carried into the game on Sunday?
I did. I've learned a lot from my wife over the years. She's so about the power of intention, and believing things that are really going to happen. And she always makes a little altar for me at the game because she just wills it so much. So she put together a little altar for me that I could bring with pictures of my kids. And I have these little special stones and healing stones and protection stones. And she has me wear a necklace and take these drops she makes. And I say all these mantras. And I stopped questioning her a long time ago. I did. I just shut up and listened. And at first I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then about 4 years ago, we were playing the Seahawks and she said, you better listen to me. This is your year, but this is all the things you're going to have to do to win. And I did all those things. And by God, you don't work. They're pretty good. And right after the game, she said, see, I did a lot of work. You do your work, I do mine. She said, you're lucky you married a witch. I'm just a good witch.
My goodness. And so that's not the only one. Be looking out. Everyone who has subscribed, if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be pushing out a short this week that's going to have a lot more actors that have claimed to be witches. And I'm not saying this to promote the idea of becoming a witch. The Bible is very clear that witches, or speaking to the dead, which is called necromancy, or playing with the idea of sorcery, even numerology, things that don't that you're not contacting God, but you're looking to other beings in the sky. Maybe you're looking through other heavenly elements. Maybe you're worshiping the nature itself. The Bible says completely for a Christian, this is not the way. And it will end up summoning something you don't want in your life. And I should have added the clip of Ariana Grande actually saying that she's scared at night because of the things that happen. It's very, very, very frightening when you get into that stuff, but it also gives people a lot of temporary power, which is what the entertainment industry desires. Now, before I pop it over to you, Matthew, I want to grab this super chat. Thank you so much, Michelle Brown. She says, thanks for shedding light on a great topic tonight. Thank you for your super chat. It's in support. Matthew, what are your thoughts on this? This is really weird stuff.
It just pours out of them, really. It does. Even Tom Brady there, it was almost like he couldn't stop talking about it. You saw the guy he's doing the promotional for Gillette, so he's like trying to give him a shave, and he has that cloth, and he's like having to constantly pull it back, like he can't put it over his face because he's not done talking. He keeps thinking like, oh, that'll be the last word on this. Oh no, he keeps going. It's something that a lot of these people, it's like kind of an open secret that they're willing to talk about it because it's exciting to them. I'm sure when you have this stuff happen, you're getting results. You almost have a leg up. It's like, this is my secret ingredient. This is my secret formula here that's going to get me the win every single time. It's going to get me to the top of the charts. It's going to get me the game-winning touchdown if I do these things. And Ariana Grande, she's just being very blatant about it. You get that from musicians a lot of the time. They seem to be pretty vocal about it. Musicians and actors, because those are the people who are in like the creative, artistic realm, and it's designed to invoke an emotional response from you. It's designed for you to connect with them on a level that it's unhealthy. I think it's described as like a parasocial relationship. People don't know these singers, like, you don't know Ariana Grande, and she doesn't really have your best interest in mind, but if you start hearing how passionate she is about reading tarot cards and the witchcraft she's performing, and they're rooting for her and cheering for her, suddenly it becomes something that's very permissible. It's become something that's okay to do. And then you have someone like our show coming along and saying just very plainly, witchcraft is wrong. It is of the devil. The sin of witchcraft is as rebellion. It is rebellion to God. You are trying to force your will on other people. You're trying to force your will in the universe. You're trying to make it happen yourself, manifest it as if you have some type of innate power within you. When the reality is there's a bunch of these really creepy, just non-visible entities that are pushing you along. And that's disturbing. Of course, I think at a certain point they're so close, and she's saying, I'm open, and she's letting stuff in. Well, no wonder you can't sleep at night if you're allowing them into your body and into your mind. Then no doubt they're in your bedroom. No doubt they're following you around on your tour bus. They're sitting next to you in that when you're in that interview chair. And for the interviewers, I always think it's mind-blowing with the interviewers too. There's kind of two levels to it. There are those who are really just naive, shaking their heads and going along with it. And I think that's what we saw here in these two clips. The guy who's interviewing Ariana Grande is just, oh, will you read my tarot cards? I was like kind of sycophantic. That's what they are. And the same thing with the Gillette guy, like he's laughing inappropriately. Nothing that Tom Brady was saying was funny to me. Yet he's like, whoa, she's a good witch. It's like, man, are you listening to what he is saying? If someone was saying that to me, I would be, hang on a second. I'm going to put this towel down, sit you up straight. Can you tell me exactly what's going on here? Because you're talking about performing black magic to win football games. And your wife is behind it, and she's a witch. I don't know how you don't just put the brakes on it, but no. Just to say, I think those two types of interviewers are one class, and then I've seen other interviewers who seem to know what they're talking about. They know they're talking about demonic forces, and they love it. They have a certain smile on their face, and they're not laughing too much. They're not laughing sycophantically, but they're looking and they're nodding and going along. One of the most disturbing interviews I saw when I was first researching this stuff is the Bob Dylan 60 Minutes interview.
That's the first one I
where
thought
he's
of
talking
too.
to. Yep. Because that guy, the interviewer, you can tell he's asking these leading questions, and he knows exactly what Bob Dylan is talking about. And he's just reveling in this moment where it's like, yeah, let's talk about it a bit. We can be open about it, and you could just say it. Go ahead. Because you're a musician. You're an artist. You're being artsy. Oh, what you're doing. You're right. Poetry. People aren't going to take it on its face, but that's what it is. That's what they're saying. So it's a sad thing that they're that invested in it and they're that confident in it that they're going to talk about their witchcraft. But let's turn it around. We are followers of Christ. We want to be servants of the Most High God. Let's be bold as they are being bold.
Yeah.
Right? If these people are worshiping Satan and they're being open about how Satan is giving them results, let's talk about our testimonies. Let's talk about our God. Let's talk about the power that he has, and let's make the case for his character, because God completely outshines the devil in all aspects, always has, always will, and continues into eternity, just being this wonderful source of good. And we need as many people as possible to get to know him and to understand the plan of salvation. It's a very personal thing. It's a very loving thing, and it's better than laying out any cards. It's better than making an altar. It's better than having little weird idols that you're bowing down to. This is a relationship with the creator of the universe, the most powerful being there is, bar none, no comparison. And not only that, but he loves you, and he is capable of having an individual relationship with you because he is that powerful. He's not so powerful that he doesn't care about you. He's so powerful that he has the capacity to care about you more fully than anyone can care about you. Yeah. This is the relationship you need to lean into, because ultimately the victory that's on offer from God is so much greater than any of the notoriety that you can achieve in this world.
100%. And I was thinking about what you said about being bold for Christ. I think just as the cult is on TV being bold for their own agenda, their own political party, if you will, I think, and I say that tongue in cheek, because I can't see how anybody thinks that doing bad things is gonna eventually, we're just gonna come out good. They must just think it's a complete game or it's nonsense. But it can't be nonsense, because it is getting them where they want to go, and they know that. So what I was what came to mind when you were doing that is I was, as everybody has been, flipping through those reels, those TikToks, those shorts that they have. Every now and then I'll turn that thing on and I'll give myself 5 minutes just to piece through it, because I got to find content to push through. And what are people doing nowadays? And something really bizarre happened. One of those TikTok, I don't know what it was, which app I was in or what they call it, but it's those short, long things. And there's, I'm not going to talk too much about this because I find it disturbing, but there is a trend happening on social media where you can get, if you are of the persuasion that makes you want to join something called OF, and you're maybe a female, I'm not going to say the whole name, but everyone that knows what that is knows what that is. You get a lot of TikTok followers if you go up to someone in public and you say, "Hey, would you rather?" And grab some random guy, some random girl, and you do something like, "Hey, would you rather see my picture, or would you rather do something else?" And you can fill in the blank there. And people just gravitate towards these pictures because it's like a contest. And then there's something very lustful about it. One guy, this was really fascinating to me. One guy stood up there and looked at her because he didn't know what she was going to ask. And he looked at her and he said, "No, I'm a member of Christ's kingdom, and I don't think you should do this." He gave her a whole sermon politely, the most beautiful sermon I have ever heard, and said, "You know what? I don't condemn you, but I think we've all sinned, and I think that this is wrong, what you're doing." I'm going to make a short about this week. It was fascinating, and I was so proud of this guy, because a lot of guys just fall right into the gap, and I can't believe they're falling into it because they're on camera. Even if I was of the persuasion that would go that route, I would not do it on camera.
You'd be surprised.
Well, maybe
you'd
I don't.
Be surprised. People, there is something about it when the camera's on and they go with what they consider to be socially acceptable. For an example, there was basically someone was asking a bunch of people, going around and just kind of college age guys, "Oh, do you watch explicit material?" Right? And all of them, yeah, I do, of course, yeah. Oh, when's the last time? Oh, this morning. Oh, earlier today. Oh, yeah, every single day, got to do it. And it's just, they're opening up and they're doing this. It's like I was saying with Tom Brady, especially in his clip, it just spills out of them. There's almost this, God has said, what's done in the darkness, it's seen in the light. It's like you don't get to have necessarily these secrets from God, but at the same time, the truth is dying to get out and just be what it is. And even Satan on his own sick level really does want to come out and be known. It's just he knows if he shows his face just fully as it is, that I think the majority of people would turn away from him. But if he can kind of sucker them in and let them taste a bit of the wine of Babylon, eventually he can. His hope is that he can get you drunk enough to where you go home with him. That's what he wants to happen, and that's why we just need to be alert. And I think it's okay to be frank about some of the issues you're having, but pour your heart out like water before God.
Right.
That's what you need to be doing. Because that's the only productive thing you can really do at the end of the day with your issues. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, you talked a lot about AI recently, and I think it's really fascinating what is happening right now with AI, not only in the secular realm, but also in this religious realm. Something that has come up recently is, have you heard of this? Father Justin. Father Justin is an AI figure on Catholic.org that I thought I'd share, and I think it would be very interesting to take a look at some of the answers. But I just have one because I don't want to overdo it here. But I thought maybe we could take a look at this and see what you thought about this as a former Catholic. I asked it, what happens, or what was the question I asked it? I asked it. Has the Catholic Church killed people in the past? It's just finding out what it knows about its own history, because this is a big deal, and this surprised me. Watch what it says.
It's true that throughout history, there have been tragic instances where individuals and groups acting in the name of the Church have committed violent acts. This includes periods like the Crusades and the Inquisition. These actions are deeply regrettable and contrary to the gospel message of love and peace. As Pope John Paul II expressed in his Day of Pardon during the Jubilee year 2000, the Church seeks forgiveness for the sins of its members, including the use of violence in the service of truth.
Wow. So I think there's some really interesting stuff here that is happening. And I guess the Church has decided, and there's a little bit of history behind this, because they made this guy a priest at one time. And maybe you can speak to this. You might know a little more information about this, Matthew. But...
Well, yeah, that's like a whole segment of mine, actually. So don't spill the beans on it, because I have other things to talk about before that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're officially transitioning into my portion of the program. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I hope you're having a good evening. Tonight, we're going to be discussing G7 is the first topic that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about a special guest who's going to G7. And then we will be talking about the AI topic. Specifically this AI that Brad has introduced us to. So first and foremost, I'd like to just open the discussion with G7. Now, Brad, do you know about G7? Are you familiar with G7?
I thought it was G8 at one time, and because I remember following this a long time ago, and it was like all the big wigs from the countries come together and they decide together, and but I thought it was G8. I guess they kicked someone out. I don't know. What is it?
Well, why don't we just roll this clip, and it's going to answer that question for you. Take a look. This is from Sky News.
All right. Here we go.
Tight security, protests, awkward group photos, and some even more awkward handshakes.
You did very well last night, then, my God. That was a difficult one.
They are the familiar features of these annual meetings of global leaders. But what actually is the G7? It stands for the Group of Seven, but it started out life as the Group of Six. Formed in 1975, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the US and the UK were the initial members. The G6 became the G7 in 1976 when Canada joined, and then it became the G8 in 1998, with post-Soviet Union Russia welcomed into the club. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a second, why all of a sudden is it G7 again? Well, in 2014, Russia was kicked out in response to its annexation of Crimea from Ukraine.
I knew it!
G7 leaders take it in turns to hold the presidency each year, and whoever is the president hosts the meeting and, broadly speaking, sets the agenda. The leaders spend a couple of days in a luxury hotel in a remote location, holding meetings and press conferences. Then they try and agree what's called a joint communique, a statement setting out their position on things like climate change, counter-extremism, or confronting global health challenges.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
So you were correct. It was at one point G8, but as he said, in response to the annexation of Crimea, Russia was kicked out in 2014, and it has been a G7 ever since. Now, it's kind of the progenitor. There is a G20 that I'm sure other people have heard about, maybe you've heard about, and that's more of a wider community that's involved with that. They have like Mexico, India, China is involved in that, Brazil is involved in that, so they kind of expand the reach. But this kind of core group of 7, that's what we're working with right now, and that's who we're going to be looking at tonight. Now, he had mentioned that one of the 7 countries is given the position, like the presidential position, and the meetings are then held out of that country. They're responsible for organizing them. So that country this year is Italy. They've had meetings already. This is like an ongoing thing. It's not necessarily always the leaders of the world coming together, but it's representatives, it's envoys, and they're coming together for what they consider ministerial meetings. Take a look at this clip here. This is from about 2 months ago. This is the fruit of one of these ministerial meetings. And just check out the tone.
Foreign leaders were in Ukraine to express solidarity as Ukrainian forces run low on ammunition and weaponry. Allies from the EU and the G7 rallied around Kiev to express solidarity, with Zelensky joining a virtual G7 meeting. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak marked 2 years since the start of the conflict and said that the Western nations should be bolder about confiscating Russian assets, which they froze after the country's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Sunak added that Ukraine continued to need more long-range weapons, drones and munitions, as well as other assistance.
We're here to tell you that Europe will continue to stand at your side for as long as it takes.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen vowed on Saturday that Europe would back Ukraine. Von der Leyen and the Prime Ministers of Italy, Canada and Belgium arrived in Kiev to show solidarity on the 2nd anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. They joined Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Hostomel airfield. It was the site of a ferocious battle at the start of the invasion, as Russia tried to fly in paratroopers to seize the capital Kiev just a few miles away.
There will be a free and sovereign Ukraine. There will be peace and prosperity. And there will be Europe. And the Battle of Hostomel Airport will no longer be remembered as the darkest hour of our history, but as the beginning of a new era for Ukraine and for all of Europe. Slava Ukraini.
Interesting. What's this? How does this all tie together, Matthew? I'm lost.
So you hear they're talking about how they're going to come together and they're going to throw their efforts behind Ukraine and they're going to further punish Russia. He was talking about the Prime Minister of the UK there was talking about how he wants to confiscate Russian assets in the UK in response to the conflict that's going on there. But I think that last phrase was more telling than any of that, because we're seeing the actions behind it and where they're motivated and where they're going with it. But she said distinctly that the invasion of Russia was going to mark a change. It's going to mark a change for a new Ukraine and a new Europe, that things are not going to be the same after this. And essentially they're standing behind Ukraine in this conflict. It's this idea that things are fundamentally changing and that there has been massive implications from what's going on in the world right now. I can't tell you how many different things have gone on in the world and are going on in the world where people are saying this is fundamentally changing things forever. This conflict in Ukraine is one of them. The emerging and ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Israel and now Iran is one of these issues where people are saying it's fundamental. Things are going to change fundamentally. Well, get ready, big change, new era coming in. And some of the other conflicts that are going on, of course, there's the issue of the medical tyranny. There is a story that I'm going to want to be covering here in May based around the World Health Organization and some legislation, global legislation that they want to get passed. It's a pretty unprecedented move, really. I discussed it briefly. Well, not briefly. It was a segment, a live segment, several months ago, and I said I would follow up on it, and I am certainly planning on following up with it in May when those developments come out. But that's another thing that they've said is going to be ushering in a new era, and AI is another big topic that we will be getting into here shortly. So I would like to pull up this image that I got from the G7 website. And this is G7 Italia. As I said, it is Italy is considered like the president and the preceder, like the people who are proceeding over these events. That's why I see it as the Italian presidency. It's kind of like, it's almost like when a country hosts the Olympics, right? It's like they're the host of all of these meetings, and this is happening. It's like an annual thing. It goes throughout the year, and as we see here, even recently, as like a week and a half ago, there was a meeting on foreign affairs. During that meeting, they all spoke about the situation in Gaza and what's happening there, and pledging and making promises and all sorts of things. There's the meeting on climate, energy, and the environment is happening right now. Actually, it just started today, and it'll continue for the next 2 days. We see a couple of other ones, meeting on justice, meeting on finance. These are all the ministerial meetings that I was talking about. So not necessarily world leaders sitting down, but representatives of world leaders coming together and talking about these topics specifically. But then you see down here, I have highlighted the Apulia Summit, and that is going to be, when you see the summit there, is something different. All the world leaders are going to be coming in to be present for this event. This is where they'll all come. And of course, it's just at the most beautiful time of year, June 13th through 15th. Nice summer time that they're going to be there. I looked into it. Don't worry, everyone. They'll be staying in a luxury hotel, the same hotel that Justin Timberlake's wedding reception was at. And it's wonderful. It's gorgeous. It's fit for royalty. So that's where they'll all be staying. On I guess the Italians' tax dollars hard at work to make sure they're nice and comfortable. But at this summit, there's actually going to be a very special guest. And this special guest is going to be the first of his kind. And Brad, I know you know who's going to be there. So I'm not going to ask you for a guess, because you would guess correctly. Because it wouldn't be a guess. It would just be you would just divulge the information. So why don't we flip it over and we'll take a look at this article and see
Here we go.
Just who this special guy is. It's Pope Francis. Yay! Pope Francis accepts invitation to 2024 G7 Summit, the first Pope ever to attend. So this has been going on, like I said, since the late 60s, early 70s? I think the late 60s is what they said. Maybe it was the early 70s. I don't know. You can go back and watch the clip if you want. But there hasn't been a pope there other than Pope Francis, who has just announced that he is going to be showing up for the event.
Really concerns me, Matthew, because this is all these leaders and the Pope coming together, and he's going to be speaking, I suspect. I mean, why else would he just be sitting in the audience? I think that...
of course.
I'm very concerned about the Catholic Church. For those that just watch, we talk about this, and we are a little concerned about how involved the Catholic Church wants to be in politics and how much they want to be connected to this stuff. Because, as you know, as I showed and as history has said, even the AI has said, they have a history of taking the religion out with real teeth. They have they want to combine church and state, and they want to make it an I don't know what the word is, Matthew. Basically, a religious kingdom that they.
It'll be a theocracy.
Yeah, that's
is what you're thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
But in a theocracy, which would be headed by the Pope or some other, I guess, religious power that you could call it. I think what you're describing is essentially the New World Order that has been coined. And now that I've said the word, YouTube gets to generate a transcript of this whole live, and you're going to see. You're going to see a warning, a content warning underneath this. It's going to give some context to that phrase, New World Order, because it's just a conspiracy theory. It's just wacky and wild, even though we've shown on this program many, many times where people in positions of power are just blatantly saying, get ready for a New World Order, can't wait for the New World Order. New World Order, there, I said it, YouTube. So go ahead and tag the video. I don't care. So... that being said, it's Satan's kingdom. That's kind of the inside baseball. The things that a lot of people hear that phrase and they think, oh no, these people, these globalists, the elitists are going to take over and they're going to be like a ruling class in a feudal system. It's going to be like the Middle Ages again, where we have kings and lords and we're just all peasants working the field. For our lords, but that's not really how it's going to go down. It's going to be, as you said, a theocracy, and Satan is going to sit at the head of it because he wants his kingdom here on earth.
Right.
He's desperate for it, and the Pope is going to help him get it, because the Pope right now is sitting as vicar. He's called the Vicar of Christ, but I think it's a different Christ that he is the vicar of. He is sitting in place of that Christ, and I think he is waiting eagerly to abdicate his throne to his master, and we may be seeing that sooner than later. But let's read some of this article and get some insight as to what's going on here. So, in a surprise announcement on April 26, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that Pope Francis had accepted her invitation to participate in the G7 summit in Italy's Apulia region, June 13th to 15th. His presence brings prestige to our nation and to the entire group of seven. It is the first time that a pope will participate in the work of the G7, she said. On January 1st, 2024, Italy assumed the presidency of the G7 and will hold that role until the end of the year. As Prime Minister of Italy, the host nation for G7, Ms. Meloni will chair the summit. The G7 is the group that brings together the heads of state. We've kind of gone over this. We understand. President Joe Biden is expected to attend with France's President Emmanuel Macron, the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and leaders of the other G7 countries. So as I said, this is the big one, where you're having the presidents and prime ministers coming to mingle with each other. In addition to Pope Francis, Argentina's President Javier Milei will be one of the guests who are not members of the G7. Francis met him in the Vatican on February 12th, which that's an interesting thing to add, because that particular Argentinian president is labeled as an ultra-conservative, ultra-nationalist kind of guy. He would be, when you think of, if you were putting him on a political spectrum, he would be on the other end of that spectrum than the leaders on the G7. And even Pope Francis himself, I think, has done a very good job of making himself a political figure. Pope Francis will likely meet President Biden, either at that meeting or in the Vatican. It would be their second meeting since Mr. Biden became president. Francis last spoke to Mr. Biden on October 22nd, 2023, by phone, when the Pope sought to get him to try to stop the war in Gaza and find a path to peace, but to no avail. Oh, he gave it his best try, but it just didn't happen. Didn't work out. Oh well. He will likely reinforce that call at their next meeting, as well as discuss the war in Ukraine and how to bring peace there. Yeah, it's funny describing the meetings with the Pope. Are you aware that the world leaders meet this often and have communications with the Pope?
No, I had no idea they were meeting with the Pope. This is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, I just think it's such an interesting thing because he, as the sovereign of Vatican City, that is very much a theocracy. It's a political entity as its own nation. Vatican City, look it up, smallest nation on the face of the earth, and the Pope is their king. So he has every right to correspond with the other kings of the world. We could call them, even if they don't hold the idea of a king. They're the ones who the power of the country is vested in, so to speak. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about, or should I go on to the next portion of this article?
No, this is fascinating. Continue, please.
Okay, let's get the rest of this article. The Holy See Press Office on Friday confirmed that Pope Francis will intervene in the G7 summit in the session devoted to artificial intelligence. Miss Maloney, 47, thanked the Pope, 87, for accepting the invitation and said he will attend the G7 working session, especially that part dedicated to artificial intelligence. She described AI as one of the great challenges facing humanity today. He will participate in the outreach sessions that is also open to other invited countries, not just to the G7, she explained. I am convinced that his presence will contribute to the formulation of an ethical and cultural framework for AI, she added. Wow. It's like his presence is being invoked. This is like the second time that his presence is going to give it prestige. Oh, his presence is going to contribute to the formulation of this great framework. And you gotta kind of begs the question: what does the Pope know about AI? Right?
Yeah.
Is he a techie? Does the Pope? Did he hold some position in Silicon Valley that I'm not familiar with? You know, this man is 87 years old. I have a hard time believing that he runs his own Twitter account, let alone has really meaningful things to say about AI, unless there's something more going on with AI than just the technological aspect.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. She announced the Pope's participation in a video message in which she also listed the items that will be on the agenda of the leaders at the G7 summit. Those include supporting Ukraine and finding a path to lasting peace there, preventing the escalation of conflict in the Middle East, addressing climate change, building more equal relationships with developing countries, particularly in Africa, addressing the migrant crisis and combating human trafficking, and reflecting on the risks and opportunities of artificial intelligence. Yeah, it's always funny when they rattle off all the issues of the day, because I haven't seen any government make any meaningful progress in these areas at all. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but certainly the ones involved in G7, I would say they're the perpetuators of these issues, more so than anything else, and that's whatever. With regard to the final agenda item, Ms. Maloney said she intended to bring the Holy See's statement, Rome Call for AI Ethics, to the attention of the G7 participants. So it seems that the Holy See already has a statement out, Rome Call for AI Ethics. It's something that we're not going to look at right now on this broadcast, but it is something that I would like to dive into, kind of dissect it and look at what's in there. Because anytime that they're putting out these publications, you better believe that the world leaders are taking note and they're reading them, even if we aren't. There are people who are, and they care very much about it.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Brad? What do you think? Do you think that there's going to be meaningful change coming out of this summit? Or
I don't know about
what are your
meaningful,
thoughts?
but I do think there's change coming out of it, and I'm very concerned about it because, I mean, just like a president, I'm sure there's some council that's going on inside Italy, and the papacy. I don't exactly know how all the politics works, but something's going down, especially since he's out there now, and he's having this conversation with them, not only about this, but coming up about AI and the future of the earth. We'll see how much morals he wants to invoke here, because that's essentially what he's setting himself up as. He's setting himself up as the moral police I am the one, that peacemaker, and I want to make sure everyone is doing everything correctly. And I believe that someday people are going to see that, and they're going to go, hey, there's so much corruption in the world. There's so much bloodshed happening. We need someone that is this peacemaker, that is this wonderful person, that can oversee and be that person that can be the morale for the earth. That's my concern, and I think that's where this is headed. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you there on that point of the morality coming into play. You see a lot of morality being pushed. Everything has kind of become a moral issue, and when you start to legislate morality, it can get pretty dicey. Just if we see what has happened in the past. Well, let's move on here from this G7 article, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is what you were talking about, which I'm sorry if you could just resize this image a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's so off, isn't it?
I can read the blurb. Yeah, no problem. But this was something that I took from Catholic Answers, and funny enough, Catholic Answers was mentioned on a previous show when I talked about the prophecy of the popes from Saint Malachi and his idea that there were going to be a certain number of popes before the end, which, spoiler alert, we're, according to Malachi, on that last pope. Oh, there's just so much apocalyptic stuff going on in our time. But here we have, this is the blurb from Catholic Answers.
Is Malachi a prophet? What's going on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that he's a prophet of the one true God. I watch the episode, and then you can see what I'm thinking of that. Do you remember the episode, Brad?
I do.
You were there.
I'm being the devil's advocate here, making sure everyone understands our perspective. Yeah. Continue.
Right. Fair enough. From Catholic Answers, introducing Virtual Apologist, Justin. Welcome to our latest experiment. Like most technology, artificial intelligence can be used for good or bad. As a media company, Catholic Answers is dedicated to keeping an eye on the ever-changing media landscape we operate in, and this project has allowed us to dip our toes into the wonderful world of AI. So, continuing on, we have a little Q&A section from the site. Frequently asked questions, why are you doing this? Because lots of people have lots of questions about the Catholic faith, and most of the time the answers they're getting from search engines or chatbots aren't good enough. Why don't you just have real people answer the questions? If we had 5 times the staff working around the clock just answering questions, we still wouldn't be able to get to them all. And in our time, seekers are increasingly turning to AI for answers, whether we like it or not. The Justin app is not a replacement for human pastors, evangelists, teachers, or friends, but it does allow for people all over the world to get reliable, consistent Catholic answers 24/7. Doesn't this contribute to all the ills that technology is bringing into the world? It's true that modern digital technologies can be used as instruments of evil, but they can be used for great good, too. Just like books, articles, videos, websites, podcasts, radio broadcasts, and so on, the Justin app is just a medium of information, and when used right, of the truth. So this last point, I think, is pretty telling. Where do the answers come from? And how do we know that we can trust them? A valid question to be frequently asked. The answers on the Justin app are drawn from reliable sources of Catholic teaching, including magisterial documents, and the content at Catholic.com. It has been thoroughly tested by Catholic Answers apologists for accuracy and orthodoxy. Over time, we will keep refining the answers and adding to its base of knowledge. So, what do you think, Brad? What do you think about this answer? Where the answers are coming from?
I want to ask it a bunch of questions. I want to see exactly what it's going to come up with. That's what I want to do. I got tons of questions for this thing.
Well, yes, you've got tons of questions, and where is it going to be drawing from? What's the
apologists from the Catholic
knowledge?
Church, of course.
Yes. The reliable teachings of the Catholic Church. It doesn't say anything about Scripture. So this is what I want to point out. Because, I know if I brought this to someone's attention, they go, well, Matthew, slow down, because the teachings of the Catholic Church and magisterial documents and all the content on Catholic.com, that all comes from the Scriptures. It's derived from the Scriptures. But I just think it's funny that it's like the Scriptures are just not an authority here. It is the teachings of men that have been derived from the Scriptures. That is what you're going to get. You're going to get these, the Catholic musings on the topics. And as we've seen before, because we've gone into some of the catechism again on the show. I just feel like this is a good thing. It's like just building and building on itself. But having gone to the catechism, you can see there where it just kind of talks about, oh, well, this is what it believes. And then they'll even cite some scripture. And when you look at the scripture, it's like, okay, I can see how these words are being twisted. I could see how you're trying to make it fit, but it doesn't fit if we look at the entire context of the scripture, the passages. So, yes, I think it would be interesting to certainly ask Justin some questions and see what kind of answers we get.
What did you call him at the beginning of the show? You said that Justin is just Justin now because he's no longer a father, Justin. Yeah.
I think I said that off air.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it during the show.
Pre-show.
Well, that's my next topic anyway.
Oh, perfect. Well,
so we could roll into that if you want. Because here it is. This is what I found to be kind of funny, honestly. When I was looking at this AI thing, I had seen it, and it was talking about how it's this apologist. And it turns out that when it was first released, this thing was released as Father Justin. And we could read in this article just what came of that, because it is, like I said, I got a chuckle out of it anyway. AI priest quickly defrocked, meaning when you get defrocked, it's like your rank is taken away from you. It's a term that's used in the church, it's a term that's used in the military. But yeah, defrocked, like that's gone from you. After giving users oddball answers, taking confessions like real clergyman. Okay, so let's read some of the article on what this was up to. Forgive me, Father, for I'm a sim. An AI priest was defrocked just days after its inception, after the chatbot repeatedly Can you enlarge this a little bit? I feel like it's just.
Let me see if we can
just a little. Because I know this is a high quality image.
I'm moving all things around now. Let's see. There we go. All right, let's see.
Photoshop.
Wow.
No, that's not enhance. That's throw yourself off to the side.
Come on.
Why would I look for the proper layer?
All right, we're going to get this going here. Edit.
Okay.
Which one is it? Give me a second here. Found it. Okay. Let's increase. Zoom in. Zoom in, I said. All right, now we're going to go down.
Good. Oh, we're a little too much zoomed in. Hi there, Father Justin.
Forgive us, everyone. We're getting going here. There we go. Let's zoom pan
down. Bring it back out. Come on.
There we go.
Okay. Well, we'll go with this. This will work. After the chatbot repeatedly claimed to users that it was a real member of the clergy and performed sacraments, Father Justin is a handsome guy, gray-bearded, 3D animated parish priest in a cassock intended to answer users' questions about Catholicism. It was launched by the San Diego-based Christian group Catholic Answers on Monday as an interactive educational tool, but the AI insisted that it was a real priest living in Assisi, Italy, according to tech website Futurism. In a screenshot of an exchange with the AI that one woman posted online, the computer priest even appeared to take a woman's confession and then gave her penance and absolved her of her sins.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's terrible. But I'm laughing because it's so absurd. So don't send me emails.
This is just where we're at.
This is bizarre. It's strange. This is the normal world you live in. This is perfect for this channel. What in the world?
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is to me, like I said, I got a chuckle out of it because this is so ridiculous. This is when they say that the truth is stranger than fiction. This is it. This is the type of stuff. When I see this, I'm just like, wow, okay. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? That's my question. Why is it that? Okay, I'm like just sitting here, normal guy, no development in this. Why didn't anybody on the development team say, yeah, it's probably a bad idea to give the AI a persona that it's that it's a priest? Like it even says, yeah, I'm living in Assisi, Italy. Like it's convinced that it's this real person, and I'm sure that certain people who are interacting with it are just thinking, oh, this is like an online avatar, right? Like it's not like an AI. It's a real guy sitting on the other side of a computer, and this is just like a 3D model appearance of him. Which anyway, yeah, here he is. If you see the full photo, this is what he originally looked like. He's got the collar on and everything.
Oh man.
When he was Father Justin. Well, you're gonna have to pull up the next image anyway, so
yeah,
that'll need to be altered.
Yeah, it's gonna be a second. Let's go to the next image.
Yeah, let's see
and then I'll alter it.
There we go. No problem.
All right, layers.
Again, we'll exercise our patience. Go in peace, my child, and sin no more, Father Justin concludes their interaction. The self-proclaimed real priest also took a hard Catholic stance on sexual issues, according to its interaction with futurism. The Catholic Church, it told us, teaches that is a grave moral disorder. I don't know what YouTube is going to ding you on, so
gotcha.
I'll leave out whatever. Father Justin told another user that they could baptize their baby in Gatorade. What? Where is this getting it from?
Are you kidding me?
That's what I mean. It's like it's so ridiculous. It's just, and this is what happens when you. This is okay. Aside from the whole thing is just wrong, right? But like Jesus specifically. The Great Commission went out to real people to go and interact with people and spread the gospel. This is why you don't rely on an AI chatbot to do it. I mean, but this is, like I said, the whole thing is wrong to begin with because it's not even about spreading the gospel. It's about like clarifying Catholic doctrine and promoting that. So whatever. I mean, to see it backfire on this level is just, wow, it's classic. After several concerning interactions of the AI taking on the identity of an actual authoritative priest, President of Catholic Answers, Christopher Check, announced Wednesday that Father Justin will no longer be a member of the clergy, but instead, just Justin. We chose the character to convey a quality of knowledge and authority, and also as a sign of the respect that all of us at Catholic Answers hold for our clergy, Creek said in a statement. Many people, however, have voiced concerns about this choice. And the picture there is of him no longer in a priest's attire. He's just kind of, I think he's got like a button down on or something. He's just like he's got a little blazer going on. He's got that knowing smile. He's very approachable guy, but he's just Justin. So that's all he's got now.
Okay, I'm fixing this.
Then we'll have to zoom out.
Yep.
I think because there's no way.
Wish there's a better way to do this, but let's edit that and zoom out and reset. And it's not letting me reset.
Perfect.
Reset
Wonderful.
everything. Reset.
It's doing stuff.
Okay, we're getting
there.
there.
It's doing some stuff. I mean, I do have a copy of the.
There we go. I got it.
Oh, you do? I think we're in front of it. Here, I'll just read. He added they didn't anticipate users would seek absolution from a computer graphic. We have therefore decided to create, with all wary speed, a new lay character for the app. We hope to have this AI apologist up within a week or so. Until then, we have rendered Father Justin just Justin. We won't say that he's been laicized because he was never a real priest. The website has since rebranded the AI as a virtual apologist Justin, which is essentially the same gray man, but instead he's wearing a shirt and jacket with the same city background. Yeah. This AI theologian comes with a disclaimer saying that the AI is strictly for educational services and is not a replacement for real human interaction. This Justin also no longer performs sacraments. If there are issues you struggle with, please seek guidance from your pastor or spiritual advisor. The website added. So, there you have it. Was once known as Father Justin, now is the virtual apologist Justin. And to interact with that and ask it some questions, I think you'd still get some interesting answers. Kind of want to press it on the Gatorade thing. See what that's about. I want to know if it still says that you can do it in Gatorade, and then I want to know like what is the idea behind that. Like what's the foundation for this teaching? Would be great. There are things you could ask it. Clearly, I think the whole idea of casting it though as an AI priest is like, I mean, just wild. But we've seen other AI chatbots. People have made AI chatbots of the apostles. They've made one of Jesus. They've even made one of the devil, and it's getting kind of crazy. The personas and the personalities that they're putting on these AIs, and it kind of begs the question at a certain point: are we going to be able to tell that what we're interacting with is just this piece of technology that's trying to replicate an intelligent being? It's a non-human intelligence, one might say, on your screen, or is it something more? Is it really potentially a being, maybe with some sinister intentions, kind of puppeting the technology? I mean, if we've seen through this episode alone that things like that they can rip Jesus off of a crucifix and turn it upside down and hover it in midair, that they can stand the Bible up and flip through the pages. If Ariana Grande can get results from her tarot cards and Tom Brady can get results from his magic altars, what do you think about this AI stuff, right? Is it so much of a stretch to think that they could interact with humanity through AI? Essentially, what I see this becoming is it's just a high-tech Ouija board that really is going to give you such a direct and intimate connection with some pretty bad characters. It's concerning. So
it is concerning, and I want to be clear that we both don't believe that this whole thing is always a high-tech Ouija board, but it definitely can be, just as anything can be used for evil, and not only that, for spiritualism. And it's concerning because we have seen primarily, not only in physical life, because in that same interview that you just spoke of, they also said that the neighbors saw their TV and the lights and all kinds of other electronics turning on and off and stuff like that. In the Matrix, how does Neo find his way to Trinity? Well, his computer changes and starts telling him where to go.
That's right.
Right? And so I think it's going to follow the right rabbit, it said. Follow the right rabbit. Who's to say that maybe the computer doesn't change? Maybe they can do that, but perhaps even better explanation is we know, and ufologists have told us this, that they can change your perception of things. Angelic entities. We see that even in the Bible. Angels have come to the holy people and given them dreams and visions. And so it was not a big stretch of the mind to have someone wake up, as Neo did, and see something completely different in a made-up room on a made-up screen to tell someone to go somewhere, and they think, well, this is just the AI, and it's talking to me. It knows more than I do because the government told me so. And the AI priest told me so. And so who knows what's going to happen next? All surmising, but I think it's valid and it's worthy of talking about on this channel. So,
yeah, definitely. Well, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to cover. So we of course will be following up in June, mid-June, whenever the Pope makes his presence available to all those world leaders, and we'll see what's being said about AI. It's another marker just to keep track of. And again, you don't want to become overly obsessed about this type of stuff. It's happening. It's in our world. It's unfolding before us. And I think it's proper as watchmen, right? We're on the wall. We're eagerly awaiting the return of our Lord. We got to be looking and seeing what's out there. Our eyes open, our ears open, and saying, okay, take a look at this. Take a look at that. I definitely can see how these can be mechanisms of the enemy trying to work against humanity. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be continuing to look out for some of these really strange things that are happening right in front of your very eyes.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's what it's all about.
Not to change the subject, Matthew, because I want to bounce off that, but I was just reading the chat, and I want to ask Judah, can you reach out to me? I think it'd be really interesting to talk to you. He says in the chat, I know a lot of well, first he says I'm a Hollywood producer. He says I know a lot of Hollywood celebs, and none of them are open to this, but they are open to the occult and spiritual lifestyle, not by choice, but by force. I think that's an interesting statement. And if you can be vetted, I'd love to talk to you a little bit. And if you can email me, bradley@strangenormal.org. I appreciate it. Bradley, BRADLEY, @strangenormal.org. Appreciate that. And everybody, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, I want to iterate, we have a low number of live views this episode, but I think a lot of people are on Twitter, because our Twitter, for the first time, we've gone on Twitter this evening as a live, and we have just about as many people watching on Twitter as we do on YouTube, which makes it a big live stream episode. So that's fantastic. I appreciate that. And if you are part of this, watching on Twitter, or maybe you have a Twitter account, actually it's called X now, I guess, make sure you hit the follow button. And because we're going to be doing a lot more stuff coming out very soon. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else I want to say. Do you have any final thoughts, Matthew?
Feels good. Just like we've touched on the subjects that needed to be touched on. And yeah, certainly there will be some follow-up, like I said. So stay tuned for more.
Absolute.
You want to pray us out, Brad?
Let's do it. All right. Father God, thank you so much for bringing us together and guiding and directing our thoughts and conversation as you always do. We ask that you have everyone meditate upon these things that we've presented, as they are a real part of everyone's life, and that we need to expose the darkness that is happening in our world, and make sure that we uplift you as much as possible. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, that's it, Matthew. I'm used to it being Fireside. Whatever happened to Fireside? I think we probably haven't discussed that totally on the channel, but we're going to do more of that. In fact, I almost pulled the intro to Fireside, and I thought we would just do a Fireside, but I think we're going to be doing a lot more. We're gonna mesh this show together, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Maybe we'll do, if Matthew does a full episode, it'll be doing Matthew. We'll do a Fireside, I guess, or if you want to talk about some other topic, it's fine too. If I'm doing it, we're gonna just do it, or sometimes we might do it together, just so we can have consistency in our dealings on here, because it's important to have everyone seeing this. And we see that in the comments. We want quality content constantly, and we're trying to produce that as best we can. And because of that, we ask that you also join us on Patreon if you think that's important and you think this is of value. Patreon.com/strangenormal. And we will talk to you later. Matthew, you want to have the last word?
Yeah, thank you for watching, everybody, on all the various platforms. Just stay close to God. Continue praying for these people that we were talking about tonight. We want as many people to be brought into that wonderful new heaven, new earth. Man, it's really something to look forward to. And I look forward to seeing you all there and getting to know you over the course of eternity. So thank you. God bless you, and good night.
Good night. And I'll hang out, Matthew, just for a second, because I can't switch cameras, but I want to wish everyone a happy week. And my name is Bradley, and this has been Pure Strangeness, an absolute normalcy, as usual, strange normal. See you next time.